wonder what Chance went. If he's playing the warm front or if he played Southwest.
Lower court cut down the president's executive order illegal.
Stephen Jones and them played the warm front. They were up by Enid.
The Supreme Court is expected to issue a ruling by the end of June. Natalie Brand, gives news the White House.
Our Washington Bureau Chief Alex Cameron is following the story from D.C. He'll have reactions from U.S. Administration tonight.
And just anything with the Saturday. Get to that point.
What's that? My hair changed.
America's 401k contributions are dropping, according to new research from the payroll firm found that full-time workers' contribution rate last year was 8%. That's down from 9.2 the year prior. People who make $50,000 to $100,000 a year had the biggest decline. The firm also found 20% of Americans have their 401k closed.
News 9 is partnering with Communications Federal Credit Union to give away a round one shelter. That's tonight's keyword for here. All right, Oklahoma, we are live. Boston Weather Center. Well, the weather team, they are here. They're on my left. They're on my right. We have storm trackers out in the field. Mason Dunn up in the air. Thunderstorm just now taking off. Now leaving and developing over parts of southeastern Dewey County, Custer County, coming into Blaine County. Those storms will become severe here shortly. Big wind, big hail. That tornado threat is certainly with us through this evening. Stay tuned in. We'll be back right after this. Plus, 4 astronauts are preparing for a mission around the moon using the latest on the historic launch of Artemis 2. And we are creating opening news and today is Raven CPA of recap of
Ravens dominator taking a big 7 time card. He maintains good grades while playing varsity baseball. The dominator
Weatherford's here now. Let's see if we can find some moon launch coverage. NASA. There we go. Do this.
Jeremy Hansen will fly to the moon as mission specialist on the Artemis 2 mission. The London, Ontario native, selected as an astronaut in 2009. After that, he worked as Capcom at NASA's Mission Control Center in Houston. Capcom stands for Capsule Communicator and is the sole direct voice communicating with astronauts while in space. Jeremy also participated in training exercises, really cool ones, like living on the ocean floor off the coast of Florida to simulate deep space exploration for a week. In 2017, he became the first Canadian to lead a NASA astronaut class. He also enjoys getting out on a sailboat, rock climbing, and mountain biking. He has a wife and 3 children. And he's the one that you see bottom left-hand corner of your screen. I know, I'm trying to see what he's doing now. Christina's looking too. And so there is your Artemis 2 crew inside the Orion spacecraft. And And this is actually the 7th time NASA astronauts will launch on a new NASA spacecraft designed for crew. And if you're wondering about the first 6 crewed test flights, here they are. Gemini 3, March 23, 1965. Apollo 7, Wally Schirra, Don Isley, Walt Cunningham, October 11, 1968. Space Transportation System, or STS-1, John Young, Robert Crippen, April 12, 1981. Then NASA SpaceX Demo 2, Doug Hurley, Bob Behnken, May 30th, 2020, followed by NASA's Boeing crew flight tests. Butch Wilmore, Sonny Williams, June 5th, 2024. And now, Artemis 2 with Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy.
Figure watch some storm, some missile launches or Artemis launch and wait on some tornadoes.
This is only our 7th new vehicle that we're testing for crew.
Yeah, you know, we have so many different missions that we think about and we talk about, but really 7 vehicles that we've tested and that we're flying. I like to think of spaceflight really as a permanent test, right? We have,
So they came out
hundreds
with
of
launch,
missions
didn't
or so. You know, an
they
airplane
said
that
it's
gets
going to
tested
be the majority of the
and
area.
it has thousands of data points. So really, spaceflight is always going to be in the test field. And I think it's important to remember that, especially as we put humans on rockets that we never have before, or for the 7th time we start a new vehicle and a new mission.
Yeah, it's pretty well dang near Taylor County.
White room closeouts are complete, and so the closeout crew is preparing to leave.
Custer County shore is starting to show a bit of 3 body scatter spikes, so that means there's quite a bit of hail in it.
And the closeout crew is doing really well.
41 minutes, 43 seconds and counting, until the opening of the window. Artemis 2,
See, not as nearly as good as Nolan's analysis earlier, but here's an attempt at showing some mesoanalysis graphics. Radar shows the storms forming along a couple of boundaries, the main thing being dry lines. Second, there is a sharp gradient of instability, and the storms are developing right along it.
We're going back to the moon because it's the next step in our journey to Mars. We need to go explore the moon. There's a bunch of unexplored areas with the coldest, darkest places in our solar system. This is a test mission, and when we get off the planet, we might come right back. We might start our flights around, we might go to the moon. That's where we want to go, but it is a test mission, and we are ready for every scenario as we ride this amazing space launch system and the Orion spacecraft. But another reason we're going back to the moon is to fulfill NASA's mission, which is to explore the
There it is
unknown in outer
officially.
space,
It's
to
text.
innovate for the benefit of humanity, and to
Tornado
inspire the
watch
world
has been
to
issued.
When we succeed and when we accomplish the things that we set out to accomplish, that inspiration not only can set up new things to happen, but it also is a reminder in tough times that we're capable of doing great things when we work together.
The thing I love about the moon is that it's not just a beacon for exploration and it's a platform of possibilities for incredible missions like this, but it has benefits. That's actually why we're racing towards it. Those benefits are real wide in nature. You have everything from innovation, technology development, not only for future missions going deeper into the solar system, but technologies that come back to Earth. You have inspiration, a whole generation of people starting this pipeline of STEM workers and manufacturers and operators that are excited to see what you can do when you work hard and you come together as a team.
When I think about the 4 of us flying around the far side of the moon, seeing that Earth rise, taking images and video and sending them back to you, the feeling that I have inside is hope. We know that Artemis 2 is not the solution for humanity on planet Earth, but it is a contribution in the positive column. We hope that just for a moment that people will pause and say, wow, it's extraordinary when you look back upon the Earth with over 8 billion people, and you see this concrete example of what humanity can do, this extraordinary thing when we set big goals.
You're right now really quiet. Now you're Megan and Alpha and Colbert. And then here we go. Then.
And so Mission Control Houston will control the flight of Orion after a liftoff here at Kennedy Space Center. Here's Gary Jordan, who's embedded with that team. Gary, you might have to pause because we did just hear a call out to the commander in Orion.
Will do, Megan. I think that was Commander Reed Wiseman responding to prepare for some of the next steps. We are now holding at the T-minus 10-minute hold. Expected a 30-minute hold. So we are well on the countdown. We are well on the timeline to meet this L-minus time and launch towards the beginning of the window, but continuing to track progress along the way. Again, I'm here with the Artemis II flight control teams in Mission Control Houston. The team in the room behind me has been monitoring the countdown and verifying their own mission-specific launch criteria of the Space Launch System, the Orion spacecraft integrity, and its crew. During the final poll before launch, if all looks good from each of the flight controllers in this room, Flight Director Judd Freeling will report a go for launch from Houston Flight. Upon liftoff, teams here take control of the mission and communicate with the crew while they fly on the Space Launch System. This phase of flight is highly dynamic, and each console position has a dedicated and important role of looking after critical systems. You'll hear calls from Capcom and NASA astronaut Stan Love in this room to the Artemis II crew as milestones are reached during the more than 8 minutes of powered flight on the core stage. Liftoff and ascent are just the beginning. This room will be staffed around the clock over the next 10 days to oversee every moment of the mission through splashdown. Here from the Johnson Space Center, we'll be streaming the mission live 24/7 so anyone can follow the crew's journey, take peeks inside the spacecraft, and share the experience of a lunar flyby with astronauts looking down at the moon's surface. Teams here have been rehearsing tirelessly in simulations to throw every conceivable and inconceivable scenario their way. We are ready and eager to begin the Artemis II mission. Still milestones to come as we continue the countdown, but we'll be right back with you during the ascent phase of today's flight. With that, Megan, I will send it back over to you at the Space Coast.
Thanks so much, Gary. Under 37 minutes until the opening of our 2-hour launch window, 6:24 p.m. Eastern. I've never been more excited for a time. But why don't we send it back over to Megan Carter with the moon board to learn more about what happens after ascent.
Absolutely. I am definitely also getting excited. Things feel like they're starting to pick up a little pace here. A lot is about to happen within the first 10 minutes of launch, but what happens after those first 10 minutes? Let me take you over here to my mission map so we can kind of jump ahead and let me explain a few things. So our main engine cutoff is going to stand for MECO, and that is essentially where the rocket's job is done, and it is then going to turn the propulsion duties over to our ICPS. That stands for Interim Cryogenic Propulsion Stage. Don't try and say that too many times fast, but the ICPS is going to be right here, and that's our in-space propulsion. About 50 minutes into, after about 50 minutes into launch, it is going to conduct that first burn, and that's going to be the perigee raise maneuver. Essentially, what that is going to do is going to raise the spacecraft from a lowest point of Earth just a little bit higher into space, and then they are going to conduct that nice path. It's going to set them on that nice circular path around the Earth. That's when they're going to start to be able to really check out the spacecraft. The Orion spacecraft is going to be able to, like we've talked about, be maneuvered by the crew. They're going to check out those life support systems, and communication checkout's going to be vital at that point as well, obviously. Then they will be conducting that another burn, and that's going to raise them just a little bit higher again. And then they will, it'll be about time for the ICPS to separate, and they will start another lap around the Earth as well. Now, the ICPS, even after it separates, its job will not be done because they will have the opportunity to conduct something called the Proximity Operations Demonstration. And this is going to be really important for our future lunar missions because the ICPS actually has a target on it, and the crew is going to have the opportunity to manually maneuver these spacecraft like we've mentioned and practice those docking maneuvers. Now, obviously, they will not be docking for this mission, but that is, again, going to be critical for those lunar missions in the future. Now, all right, after that ICPS has separated and they've done that second lap, they're going to conduct 2 more burns, and what these burns are going to do is set them up to the high enough orbit and a fast enough speed in order to conduct the translunar injection. This is going to be that critical moment and that critical milestone where they are going to produce about 6,000 pounds of thrust, and this is that point that is going to take them out of low Earth orbit into deep space, and it's going to set them on that nice path towards that lunar flyby. And I know we have talked a little bit about why this could be a record-breaking flyby and journey to the moon. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Megan so she can tell us just why.
Yeah, she's talking about the distance record set by the Apollo 13 astronauts in 1970. They were 248,655 miles away from Earth, and this Artemis 2 crew might surpass that on flight day 6 when they fly around the moon by more than 4,000 miles.
Yeah, it's a long ways. It's tough to fathom 250,000 miles from Earth, right? I mean, space, the space station is only 250 miles, and so we're going, I don't want to do the public math, but we're going much further than that. But it's important, right? Because we want to get back to the moon. We want to see the surface. We want to see the far side of the moon, and the way we do that is by breaking distance records.
Yeah, and the exact distance record depends on exactly when they launched, like the time, the day. So we'll learn more as we go into this 10-day mission with the Artemis 2 crew. But here we are, 32 minutes, 50 seconds and counting from the opening of our launch window. Feels really, really surreal here as more and more people come to gather on the press site lawn here at Kennedy Space Center. Why don't we take a look at this video that we have here? Some familiar faces who wanted to wish our Artemis 2 crew a safe journey.
Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, you are the real deal. You're flying to the moon for all of us, and we are in awe. You're the true heroes.
You are not just astronauts. You are pioneers, venturing deeper into the unknown. But you are not alone. We will be all cheering you on from planet Earth.
Hey, I'm Victor Wembanyama, and I play basketball in the NBA. But I'm not only interested in shooting hoops. I'm also interested in shooting stars, dark matter, and all other types of astronomical phenomenon. And to the Artemis 2 astronauts who are shooting for the moon, I wish them good luck and Godspeed.
Hi everybody, I'm Ryan Gosling, and I play a biologist who goes to space to save the planet in the film Project Hail Mary. But the Artemis 2 astronauts are going to space for real, and they will travel farther from Earth than any humans in history. Sending all our best wishes to the Artemis 2 crew.
I just want to say how proud I am of each of you and how inspired you make me. But it's not just about me. Your mission is going to inspire future generations of scientists, engineers, athletes, and dreamers to do something that they never thought possible.
Hey, it's Roy Wood Jr., and I want to wish the Artemis 2 crew a happy and safe journey to the moon, well, around the moon. To go around, I know what you're doing. You got to look for a parking space. This is to go around the moon, make sure somewhere to park, and then you park. Journey. Good luck.
It's actually a really good way to explain what how this mission builds. Again, we are hoping to land astronauts on the surface of the moon in maybe 2 years. So yes, we are looking around the moon on this lunar flyby mission to see where we might park. Thank you, Roy Wood Jr. Okay, and as we look at this live view of the rocket on the pad, there is a spectacular place here at Kennedy Space Center to watch launch from, and that's the Banana Creek viewing area. Why don't we go back there where the crowd is excited, and Leah has the best assignment ever, talking to people who are super excited about being here for Artemis 2.
Oh my gosh, Megan, you talk about the excitement being palpable. I'm telling you, everybody here on pins and needles as we get just about half an hour away from launch. I've been walking around talking to people, and I'm just struck again and again by how many people are here from across the agency. I want to introduce you to just a small portion of the people across NASA who have been supporting this mission.
Patty Ortiz, NASA Armstrong Flight Research Center, Orion Program.
Orion.
Kathy Graves, Glenn Research Center, Office of STEM Engagement.
Here we go.
David Alexander, NASA Glenn Research Center, Office of STEM Engagement.
Jennifer Becerra, Johnson Space Center, the Office of STEM Engagement.
Here we go. Right back here. Where are you from?
I'm from NASA Glenn Research Center, Joseph Panakitis.
Joseph, here we go.
Wes Furman from APL.
Maria Arredondo from Headquarters, Next Gen STEM.
Mark Robinson, Stennis Space Center, Commercial Space.
Amira Flores, Armstrong, Office of the STEM Engagement.
Molly Kearns, NASA Glenn, Space Communications and Navigation.
Matthew Pierce, Goddard Institute for Space Studies in New York City.
Here we go, and right over here.
Lauren Ring, Ames Research Center, Data Integration.
So we're coming together. We're one big NASA team, one big NASA family, and we have one major major message before we launch tonight. Okay, guys, what are we going to say? 1, 2, 3. Go!
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that made me so emotional. That was so inspiring to see. I mean, wow. Yeah, that was great. I mean, just to hear everybody say their position, what they're doing to support this mission is amazing. And I'm sure this was something that really rang true and resonated with NASA's Administrator Jared Isaacman, again, to see the workforce come together, to do the work, and then to be here for launch. So why don't we actually go over to him now with our Jasmine Hopkins at one of our other viewing locations.
All right, Megan, thank you so much. The energy here on the balcony is honestly becoming electric as we get so close to launch, and now we are thrilled to welcome NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. Jared, we're really entering a golden age of exploration. How will Artemis 2 set the pace for the coming years?
Well, I mean, Artemis 2 is the opening act, right? This is the test mission. This is getting very comfortable with the SLS rocket, the Orion spacecraft. No humans have ever flown on this before, right? And we're going to put it through its paces. We'll go into Earth orbit for a little bit, make sure Orion's doing okay, and then we are sending them, right? We're going to send them farther into space than any humans might have gone before, 250,000 miles away, and it's going to set up for the subsequent missions. That's why we're going into the golden age of science and discovery right now, because you're going to see moon rocket launch in 2027 when we do our testing with the lander. We're going to go for the landing on Artemis 4 in 2028, and in parallel, we're going to build the moon base, right? And that is going to be filled with science discovery and tech demonstrations that's going to support the enduring presence we're trying to create on the surface.
Absolutely. So honestly, history-making years ahead of us, you know, with Artemis 3 and 4. But first is Artemis 2. What will be our single greatest takeaway from this mission?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, after ignition, to me, the moment that I'm going to be most excited for is splashdown. There's no question about that. Good shoots coming down off the West Coast. But look, I think the takeaway from this is gaining extreme comfort in the Orion spacecraft, right? I mean, this is very different than what we've done for more than a half century, right? I mean, the velocities that spacecraft is going to re-enter at, it's going to be new territory for us. We want to get our arms around that completely. So I would say the performance of SLS plus Orion is everything on this one. We want to make sure we do it in as a safe way as we possibly can, understanding what we are undertaking right here, bring our crew back, learn as much we can from the vehicle set up for Artemis 3 in 2027.
Right. And Administrator, we've actually had a pretty young audience today here, some kids running around the balcony. How do you hope Artemis 2 inspires that next generation?
You know, I talk about this all the time. Like, you know, one of our overarching KPIs that we should always be tracking is the number of people living and working in space. Well, you know what's another strong number 2 on that one? The number of kids that are dressing up as astronauts for Halloween, so that they grow up, that they're inspired to want to join in this grand endeavor, whether they come work with us here at NASA or they join in industry, but they're helping humankind venture out farther, pursue all the secrets of the universe.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot of kids dressed as astronauts this year. And finally, Jared, you've really made it a personal mission to get to know the people behind the work at NASA. Do you have any final thoughts, any final words before today's history-making launch?
Hey, Justin.
One, I want to express a lot of appreciation. I'll tell you what, the 4 astronauts...
Hey, just looking at radar and visually in the sky, is that some sort of confluence band or something that runs from Weatherford down to, like, Blair, Altus, that all these storms are going up on? Some kind of gradient?
Appreciation for everyone who's currently working the mission right now, so getting them ready for launch. That will be...
Because the tower that's south of Weatherford went up hard on it. It's kind of holding its own now, but it went up pretty hard in crisp just to our east.
Everybody else who's not directly working on Artemis 2, Artemis 3 is coming up next year. When this mobile launcher gets back into VAB, we're going to start stacking.
Plenty of excitement ahead of us. Jared Isaacman, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for being here.
Of course. All right, and with that, let's get back to the countdown with NASA's Megan Cruz.
Under 25 minutes and counting from the opening of our 2-hour launch window, and take a look at all these people behind us. I literally, every moment I turn around and I see the clock, I am like...
Well, I think you can see it off of Frederick radar, too. In reflectivity mode, you can kind of see it. It's being pushed back to the west and northwest with those stronger southeast winds.
NASA's Artemis program coincides with the 250th anniversary of our country's founders signing the Declaration of Independence. Exploration is a part of America's DNA, and it continues now with our return to the moon.
250 years ago, 13 colonies laid the foundation for the greatest and most enduring democracy in the history of the world. One driven by courage, faith, and freedom. From that moment, we became a nation defined not by where
Yeah, I can get back over to Weatherford if you want, just so I'm in play and east of everything. I can always come back west.
Invented tools that shaped the modern world. We found light in the dark, and we rose from the earth. Faster, higher, farther. Pushing beyond the stars into the unknown. We carried our courage into the cosmos, and we planted the American flag on the moon, the defining achievement of American superiority in space. Today, our curiosity stretches farther than ever. American robots
Brandon's in between. I like
telescopes unfold to glimpse different stars. And every generation prepares to return to the moon, this time to stay.
like what you say.
For years, America has carried the light of humanity forward. But American exceptionalism isn't inherited. It's earned. Our greatness comes not only from what we've done, but what we're still determined to discover. Because in every era, across every horizon, America is at its best when it's reaching for something greater. America celebrates 250
probably for a while.
years, and we are leading the world into the future.
You what? Never. The only work he does is try not to work.
22 minutes, 15 seconds and counting from Artemis 2.
How much time I just saw you at the time that you said that.
The crew has said this often that they hope it inspires children around the world. And recently, a group of kids here at Kennedy Space Center got a surprise of a lifetime.
That's why he's always making excuses not to work, because he wants to race. Yeah. He says all y'all suck and he beats up on y'all. Okay. Be careful.